Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talk to Us today. I'm Simrit, and unfortunately, today Namita will not be joining us. We're going to miss her because today is one of my favorite episodes, the review therapy. And do you guys notice something different about my background? Yes, I am not in my regular home and place where I shoot the videos. I'm in the gorgeous sunny city of Shimla, the friendly Himachali people, the beautiful mountains, and I'm staying in the beautiful homestay called Sanjivs Aira Holme. I'm going to take you on a round of that, so that's going to be my review. And my personal favorite, I'm reviewing The Christie Affair, written by Nina de Gramont. This book is fascinating. So we're going to take a tour of the homestay later. First, I'm going to talk to you about this really interesting book. This novel is about Agatha Christie. The Christie Affair is about Agatha Christie, the famous English novelist who wrote 66 detective novels. Even today, one of the longest longest running plays ever is The Mousetrap, which was written by Agatha Christie. She was known for her amazing plots and runarounds, and her the fictional detective she wrote about, Hercule Poirot, is really famous in literary works. But anyways, so Agatha Christie had a very interesting life. She was an author, but she wasn't very well known in the 1920s, though she had written a couple of novels by that time. She has been, by the end of her life, she was given a DBE, which is one of the orders of the British Empire, British government. I don't know. Anyways, so what happened really interesting in her life, which was like a detective novel, was in the 1920s, about 1926. I have to look this part up. In 1926, in December, her husband at the time, Mr. Archie Christie, chose to inform her that he's going to leave her for his mistress. And they had obviously heated arguments and stuff. And she disappeared. She actually disappeared for 11 days and no one knew where she was. So this is an interesting part of factual history. 11 days she remained missing, and in England's history, it was one of the largest manhunts to find her in those days. So we're talking about the whole shebang: Scotland Yard, the police, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who is the author of this Sherlock Holmes and all. He was put on the job, and so many people, and there were newspapers covering this, and a bunch of they said there were airplanes or something. In those days, this was unheard of. And so she disappeared. She did come back, but till date, nobody, she never disclosed where she went. She said she had amnesia. She couldn't remember where she was, all these things. So this book now, Nina de Gramont is writing this book, a fictionalized version of where Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days. So it's really, it's quite interesting. So I didn't know till I started this book that Agatha Christie actually did go missing. So then I started this book, and it reveals very beautiful. I have to put a side note here that I started reading this when I was rewatching Downton Abbey, and they're both in the same era. So they mentioned the same restaurants and London in the same era. So it was really interesting because it's post World War I, before World War II, and London is in this, coming of age kind of state. So it's really nicely done. The book starts with obviously the first night, and it's written really well because it's from the narrative point of the mistress, who in this book is named as Nan O'Neill. Hang on. I have to check this out. So so Nan is there, and she is the mistress, and it's from Nan O'Dia. Yeah, Nan O'Dia. And she has met with, she was a secretary for Agatha's husband, and they do have an encounter in the restaurant Simpsons. And then after that, like a day later, she disappears. So the way the author has written this is like the titles of the chapters are really interesting. So it's one day before Thursday, the 2nd of December, 1926. And then as you go on, it's the day of the disappearance, and the last day scene is Friday, 3rd December. Then 5 days later, after the disappearance. So it's written just about this disappearance and what happens, and it's a beautifully fictionalized version. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was done beautifully. What the beautiful part of this book is that it's written like, initially you read it and you're like, okay, it's like a detective book, or is it a love story? You can't really put your hands on it. It seems like a little bit of a fluff, but as the book progresses, you see a lot more depth being added to the characters, especially the mistress. So Nan goes through quite a change in this book. Even initially, you can tell she doesn't really love her Agatha's husband, but she's continuing. And later on, I'm not giving any spoilers again, but there's an interesting part of history to it. Then they add another character who is apparently Nan's ex-boyfriend and lover, and how they had a child together, and how the World War affected them. World War One. She's Irish, or her heritage is Irish, but she grew up in London. And there's some beautiful dialogues between Agatha and Nan, and the detective who goes out to see her, and what justice really means in this whole thing. Of course, the husband is like so not important in this book, but the female characters are really brought to life by their histories, and the conversation, the dialogue is done so well that you get a real in-depth of the characters of this book. Also, there's an interesting part, and you get this right at the end. You get a feel of what justice really is, and when someone, and they've done it in a way that Agatha Christie would have been proud of, because there's an interesting set of murders that happen, and there's a story about an Irish convent where the women were treated really, the girls of pregnant unmarried women were treated really badly. So the book really unfoils brilliantly, and I definitely recommend. I mean, we read this for our book club, like our famous book, my famous book club that we keep talking about, and majority of the girls who loved the book said that, listen, I had to hang it out till about page 250, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, it starts turning around. The characters come more alive. All the things that we thought were unimportant become important. So it's really well done. And as you can see, the wind is going crazy here, and I'm going to have to stop pretty soon. But my recommendation is a 4 out of 5 because of how they paid good heritage to Agatha Christie in this book, and you learn a little bit about history because of Agatha Christie if you're interested in knowing more about the author. So that's all about the book. I recommend it. It's set in a beautiful era. The writing is nice. Good dialogue writing. I have to say that, because sometimes it's just a lot of description, but there's really good dialogue writing. You do become alive. There's some sad parts and interesting parts and stuff that we thought was not important that becomes important. The book unravels beautifully, as I mentioned. Please do read it. I loved it. I really did. And now I'm going to show you where I'm staying. Stay tuned. Hi everyone. So this is the entrance of Sanjivs Aira Home. This is gorgeous at the back. If you guys can see, overlooks the hills. It's nestled right in the forest land. So it's gorgeous, and it's really quite serene. When we come from Delhi, it's a beautiful feeling here. So there's a little path up here. There is about a two car parking, which is wonderful because there's only 2 rooms here, which they give out. This is the setting for this serene, gorgeous homestay, and it is really quite authentic in its build-up. It was done by a couple, and the lady is no more. It's under her name, Sanjivs Aira Holme Retreat. So let's just take a quick walk in, and you will feel what this is about, what this place looks like and how it's set up. We're gonna take a quick walk down. Just look at this. Plants everywhere, wood, like original wood. This is not a redone home. You feel like you've come to a friend's place. It's so warm. And look at this space. It's unbelievable. In the evening, we put on a little music, had some wine. It was gorgeous.
Just look at this. But you don't need too much. They don't have a television, and you really don't require it, because places like this just bring out a different kind of character. This is what we're getting away from in Delhi, if you notice. All this, I'm going to show you more of his sketches. He's unbelievable. He went on foot all over Himachal, drew these. This is just pencil art or charcoal art. Sorry if I'm getting this wrong. He's not around to decide. This is all him. This is his signature. He's a phenomenal artist. It's just gorgeous. And they have a little doggy here who's really sweet. And I'm not a dog person. You guys remember this. This is the eating area. And this is the balcony where I did my recording just now. This is beautiful. Just look at this, guys. Just imagine being here. Book now. I'm giving you options in the description box. I'm giving you all the contact details. Trust me, it's worth it to come down here. You're gonna love it. It's so serene. I really feel at peace over here.
So, in conclusion of today's episode, number one, most importantly, I miss you, Namita. Come back soon. We'll see her next Friday for sure. Our review on Christie Affair, definitely read it. If you like detective novels, definitely read it. If you're a Agatha Christie fan, definitely read it, because it's a great story about her. Second of all, Sanjivs Aira Holme Retreat. If you come to Shimla, you want a quiet place to stay, none of the hustle bustle of the city and too many tourists. And if it's just you and your significant other or two friends who you just want to come stay, there are 2 rooms here, and it's just beautiful. Access to the city is really close. I don't think I mentioned it. It's hardly like a 7 to 10 minute drive to the lift to the mall. It's fully equipped. Everything is great. Do come and stay. It's very reasonable, but worth the visit. If you want to stay in a home-like atmosphere and not get disturbed, that's exactly the kind of place to come to. It's a great holiday. That's all on Talk to Us Today. Hope you enjoyed this different episode of Talk to Us Today. Make sure you send your comments in the comment section if you liked anything today. Do let your friends know where to find us, and email us at hello@talktoustoday. That's all on Talk to Us Today. See you guys next week. In the meanwhile, keep smiling, keep shining. I can't do this without Namita. And keep watching. Thanks. Have a great week, guys. Bye.